Deleted Session, November 19, 1977. Now, good evening. It is a meaningful universe. You are known by the universe. In a manner of speaking, some portion of your mental, physical, or spiritual reality is in correspondence with a like portion of the universe. This is difficult to explain. Give us a moment. It is not just that the universe knows you as you, but that you carry within yourself a knowledge of the universe also, and an innate, intimate, low unconscious feeling of relationship and a certain sense of identity with that cosmic heritage. In a manner of speaking, again underlined. And in the terms of this discussion, you bear a correspondence with portions of the universe that you will never visit personally, physically. You carry within you the innate knowledge of other goddesses from which your earth was born. There is nothing in the universe that does not have meaning, that is not meaningful. That meaningfulness is not only of good intent, but of superlative intent, seeking the greatest possible development and fulfillment of all of its parts. Each creature has its own meaning within it, and that personal meaning fits in with the greatest good of all others. Following one's own nature, therefore, would ideally lead to the greater fulfillment of the species and the world. When you are thinking in terms of cause and effect, you cannot glimpse that greater meaning. It is beyond all questions of beginning and ending, for out of its framework spring such concepts and realities. Your world is full, however, of hints and clues that are relatively invisible simply because you do not look for them, since they do not fit the overall view of reality that currently rules the civilization. Scientists look for the objective most of all and clear-cut cause and effect. They examine what they think of as an impersonal universe. The universe is, however, personal most of all. It is filled with intimate relationships. It has a subjective rather than an objective basis. Civilizations do not rise and fall because of weapons, or economics, or technologies. They rise and fall because of the great sway of emotion and belief. People do not die of disease. They die because of emotion and belief, and because there is a subjective rather than an objective time for dying. You live then in a personal universe, in which each being of whatever degree comes personally in contact with space and time, alive with meaning, alive as a portion of reality that no other being could or can replace. All of your exterior communication, your physical events, national affairs, and the private galleries are the result of the interrelationship of subjective realities, whose very basis is not physical at all. The power that moves the world does not come from the world, but at each moment comes into the world. The ordinary events of each day are overloaded with coincidences and significances that are nearly invisible, because they are so taken for granted, and they are so multitudinous in number, and fit so perfectly into the framework of the days. These coincidences do indeed hint at another kind of organization, and throw a different perspective indeed on the nature of events. Those coincidences and significances are indeed giving hints of the actual organization behind the facts of your world. This organization is personally, intimately tuned, in that it gives evidence of a spectacular psychology on another scale that organizes events in a manner that is for each individual personally significant. It hints at the most precise and powerful focus, so that amid an infinite of data, events can be arranged at times so that two particular people, for example, separated in childhood, could 30 years later find themselves living next door to each other. In the meantime, they might have hired detectives, and all objective avenues may have yielded no result, until by chance they meet at the corner grocery. Before that meeting, while consciously doing what they thought should be done, hiring detectives, searching down clues, they each followed inner directions without knowing it, because you are not taught to think of such things. Their conscious decisions for making numberless moves, for example, changing jobs perhaps, and the literally numberless decisions involved, were all made consciously for different reasons. They hired detectives to find each other, a clear-cut motive that simply had little to do with their own separate personal lives, their jobs, or their families. They could not then see the entire picture, or understand, for example, that a seemingly innocuous, or even a seemingly unfortunate event that led from a move to one place from another had anything to do with the search. Certainly, when finally the two moved to the same street, neither thought of looking there consciously. When they met, therefore, our hypothetical people, they could only gasp with amazement at the ways of coincidence and the strange fashion of chance or fate. You take it for granted that you are alive in a universe that has no feelings, much less any feeling for, or knowledge of, your own desires or intents. You think that it is organized along mechanical lines, or absolute lines, or objective lines, and that any intent that you have exists almost in spite of the organization of the universe. Science's eyes at least have been largely closed, because it does not know how to read the personal script that is written everywhere in the passages of the chromosomes, or in the passages of a poem. The chromosomes above all bear a personal message. They are not hypothetical, generalized claims of an objective species to its offspring, but a genetic message carried tenderly to each specific individual of that species, so uniquely caught that none of those individuals are the same. Your organized patterns of thought cause you to look in all the wrong places, usually for the wrong reasons. Rupert's desire to walk properly and see normally is his own, yet it is also the desire of that greater nature from which his existence springs. He is beginning to release that desire, after being afraid of doing so, for fear that his full attempts would not work. In your present circumstances, it was more or less inevitable, generally speaking, that when he began to release that desire, the fears that had earlier impeded its release would also come to the fore. He began to creatively consider what he would do, and then out of habit projected, at times, his present circumstances, so that they seemed to contradict his hopes. Both of you to some extent did the same thing for the same reasons, until our hypothetical friends met each other at the corner grocery. It seemed that all of their efforts and searches brought no success. They might even have been living on the same street for a year before the meeting. They had no idea of faith in the terms of which they are speaking, yet in framework 2, their desires came out, and not as a result of detective work. In framework 2, Rupert's normal working is coming about in the same fashion, only you have far more clues to which still to some extent you close your eyes, as our hypothetical friends did when they lived on the same street without knowing it. Rupert almost every day speaks of a muscle releasing here or there, a new motion, however slight. He reports feelings of certainty, yet overall you have a tendency, shall I say, Rob noted with irony, they said not to focus upon those new significances, those new coincidences, for you think still in terms of the evidence. Yet, now in so doing, you are not being true to the evidence. You are at times ignoring the significant clues and seeing them instead as insignificant in the light of the completed normal picture. Now that causes an additional tension and impairments in framework 1 that slow down the process to whatever degree, which is exactly what you want to avoid. You certainly know consciously the importance of those significant clues, or the body's reasoning or processes. It is not releasing itself with no purpose. It is a meaningful universe. Almost all of your doubts come directly to that point. Either that or you doubt your ability to embrace the universe. You have agreed that framework 2 exists. That is helpful. Your faith has been achieved on that point. Ruber feels at times he cannot embrace framework 2 properly and becomes impatient with himself. Your faith is not secure there either. You have, however, the clues and again begin to organize your reality along those lines, to take each release or new motion, however small, as one part of the puzzle that is falling into place, in line with the greater pattern. Your conversations, your drives, your mail, the television programs you watch, all of these are involved in that you will be there to watch programs, for example, that in one way or another help the entire picture. The power of the universe is a personal one. When your intent is clear, events fall into place in your lives. From the most minute to the most momentous that bring that desire to pass. Thousands of books could be written showing how such patterns work in individual lives and in mass encounters. In the most mundane of terms, try to maintain your good spirits. Help each other in that way. Remind Ruber to think of ideas in his writing. Anything that increases his enjoyment, increases his work. In your situation now, and increase the healing process and his spontaneity. The worry about the time element is the result of your present concern over whether or not you are affecting framework 2 properly. You are affecting it properly, but your worry causes impediments. Ruber's playing with the cat was of great benefit. Your Tom and Jerry shows are another. A good drama on television helps. Writing is excellent now. You need, both of you, that change of scenery and the familiarity with the countryside and the touch of your worst bustle. Driving downtown is stimulating to Ruber, but he should not feel out of it at such times, or concentrate upon the comparison between his present and the desired state. Have him tell you his fantasy today of the motel and his thoughts about it. You must begin to change your mode of thinking, but it will automatically change as you remember what I said about creativity and stop worrying, both of you. Creative thought is the mode of thought that most clearly approximates framework 2's mode of organization and the nature of the universe. Now read this section together tomorrow. Take it to heart. My heartiest regards, and a fond good evening, and happy coincidences. Ross said, okay said. They said aloud then. Ross said, all right, good night.